like to call the November Land and Facilities Management Committee meeting to order. Start off with our roll call.
Yes, good evening. Mrs. Babin?
Here.
Mrs. Bourgeois?
Here.
Mr. Lafont? Here. You have a quorum.
Item 2, Dawson, Holloway, and Cortez. A, to receive a report from Justin Cortez on the St. Charles Elementary School classroom addition.
The board members, y'all report on where we are with St. Charles currently. Just to run through the key stats on the project, the original contract sum for the job was $6,002,000. Approved change orders amount to date cumulative is a credit of $560,516, which leaves us with a current contract sum of $5,441,483. Notice to proceed on this project was May 28th. Contract time was 426 days. We are currently at 177 days elapsed on the project. The contractor is currently submitting shop drawings to the design team. We're reviewing those and getting those back in their hands so they can order materials to proceed with the work. The contractor has also recently completed installing the main concrete building slab along with the slab for the new playground pavilion area. The contractor has started laying CMU, the concrete masonry block walls on the project. They're roughly about 50% complete with the exterior wall right now. They poured a couple bond beams and some columns along with that. And they're anticipating to be complete with the block within the next month and a half or so, at which point they can start laying the structural steel for the roof deck. The contractor is, let's see, I already talked about the pavilion, so that was that item. So that's currently where we are. I don't know if we want to show photos at this point or. Okay, never mind. Well, that's my report for today.
Thank you very much. Item B, to consider a change order request for the St. Charles Elementary School.
Yes, the recommended action is to accept the change order request in the sum of $30,001.67 at St. Charles Elementary School. The breakdown is as follows: $2,211.93 to modify drainage to avoid a conflict with the existing water line and fire hydrant. $17,050.90 to add storm drain piping to tie in the new car drop-off canopy with subsurface drainage, and to add an additional catch basin to improve the site drainage. $4,153.74 to add a couple of extra door access control devices to exterior doors of the new building. $4,706.54 for additional walls and doors to the rear of the new chairlift in Building 1 to create a storage space. And then $1,878.56 would be the design fee increase.
Motion? Motion by Ms. Bourgeois, second by Mr. Lafont. Any public comment? Any board discussion? If none, we'll vote. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item 3, to receive a report from Hurricane Ida repairs at Bayou Bluff Elementary School. To receive a report from Andy Positeri on Bayou Bluff Elementary School. Good evening.
Hey, good evening. Happy birthday, Ms. Petita. So at Bayou Bluff Elementary School, we split this site into basically 2 different bid packages. The first is the demolition of several of the existing buildings, or all of the existing buildings except 2. What we're calling Building 15, which is the newer building on campus. It's got the 4 classrooms. And then, of course, what we're calling the Little Red Schoolhouse, the historic building. So this board approved the bid for that project at your last meeting. We're going through that construction contract execution period right now. We do anticipate issuing notice to proceed on or before December 8th, so that'll quickly get underway. That project was awarded to Grow Environmental LLC. Formerly, they used to be known as LLJ, but they've recently renamed. I believe they've done work with y'all before. So That's where that stands right now. The next phase, of course, is the construction of the new building. We have submitted our schematic design package. Some of you may have seen at the town hall meeting that we had last week over in Bayou Buff. I think it was positively received. So we're in the process of going through the next phase of the design, our design development phase right now. I do have, refer to my notes for a second on the schedule. So the schedule for that new phase of the work with is going to be, we are planning on finishing construction documents in May of 2025 and going through MEHP approval and the bid process and all of that. By the time we're shooting, I guess, for a summer of 2027 construction completion. So we are kind of like what we did with the middle school. We're backwards planning from a start date, or I should say a turnover date from the summer of 2027. So that's the current high-level schedule for that project.
You hoping to come to the committee in July for approval of the bid to start the actual project?
Yeah, we are scheduled to open bids right now on June 11th. So June 11th of 2025, we anticipate, or shortly thereafter, I should say, we anticipate coming before y'all with what we hope is a good bid number for approval. Happy to take any questions.
Is the Little Red Schoolhouse going to stay red?
The Little Red Schoolhouse will stay red. Yeah, we are as part of this overall scope of work. The paint on it right now is chipped really bad, and so it is going to be abated, repainted. The roof will have some work. So we'll do some minimal stabilization to the Little Red Schoolhouse, but it will stay where it is, and it will stay red. It's the Little Blue Schoolhouse. Right. So we will keep it that same color.
Because in the plan, I didn't see the red, so that's.
Right. Well, we kept it on the plan we had. We kind of kept those existing buildings grayed out because we wanted to just at least show the form, but
just
not
check.
really. Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sure that the elevation now will be high enough that the principals don't have to wear rubber boots.
That's a great question. Yeah. So we did some studies with FEMA. So the base flood elevation there is at a +5 or 5 feet above sea level. The existing ground is at about a 2, on average about a 2. We're building a foot above the base flood elevation. We're building to a 6, it's at 2, so it'll be about 4 feet elevated above the ground. And so remember the South LaRose Elementary School, how we've got some steps and ramps that get up to that elevated part. We're going to do the same thing with this school as well.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 4, Hasnas Goodman Utley Engineers, LLC. We have A, to receive a report from Brandon Cortez on the generator replacement at Central Lafourche High School. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Just a brief update on Central Lafourche generator replacement. So this week, the contractor was on site. He was able to set the new generator in place. He bolted it down, and he started connecting services. So really all that's left is connecting the gas piping and the control wiring. Once they're done with the installation, we'll schedule a load test. For this test, they'll bring in a portable load bank, and they'll perform an initial startup on the generator. Then they'll connect the load bank and let it run for a few hours, make sure everything's functioning correctly. Once the startup and the load tests are done, then the contract will be substantially complete.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you very much. Item 5, All South. A, to receive a report from Bob Bernard with All South Consulting on Hurricane Ida damages. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Starting with Central Lafourche in Washington, Thibodeau High School. Roof work at Central is about done, except for the high roof. We're still trying to work out the details on Francine damage and getting that figured out. They started work on the structural repairs. Well, not the repairs yet. They cleaned it. The engineer went, did an assessment. So we're going to be getting his report on all the details as far as how far we have to go with the repairs to that. So that should be forthcoming pretty soon. Currently, they have a completion date of end of December to be finished with everything. So let's see how that holds out. Hopefully it will. 10 various sites, same contractor. Still not finished, but we are getting some things completed. So that's good. He shows a completion date. It looks like the latest will be November 30th. So continuing on that. Any questions about these two schools? Okay. Bayou Bluff, we already talked about this one. Pull up the schedule if you would. Ashley, please go to that sheet. There's one thing to look at in purple, and this is what Andy was referring to earlier, is the first phase of the demo that's going to happen. I don't think there'll be any issues with that. The second phase in purple is the FEMA EHP review, and that is timing out pretty much as design is happening concurrently to finish at the time of the first bid. So we need EHP to give us their review, their approval, so we're ready to start ground disturbing. That's the only hang up if they don't give it to us, right? And then that's going to throw the whole schedule off because we can't proceed without it. So just something to be aware of. This schedule, we'll keep updating it. FEMA has everything they need to do their review. Nothing that's holding them up. It's in their court. We just have to let the time play out. So 6 months, 7 months, they should be enough time to get that done. Good. Oh, okay. And look, it's only if there's something major they find that would require an environmental assessment, is called. It's unlikely because this is a pre-disturbed site, so there shouldn't be any unknowns out there. So if that's not the case, then the 7 months to get EHP approval should be good. Okay. Go to middle, you can pull up that schedule. I think that was the next one. This one continues to evolve some in a good way. The first phase is the abatement phase, which is getting rid of all the environmentals, the asbestos and whatnot before the demo happens. Spoke to Lee Ritter today. They're scheduled to start, I want to say early December. I believe was the date, December 6th, something like that. Should take about a month, so that'll get knocked out, right? The second phase is going to be combined now. We were going to do a separate demo surcharge package, but John looked at this and we hashed around the idea of combining it with the new school building and the owner upgrades. It makes sense. It's a cost savings if you do it as one, number one. The problem before, we were worried about the timing of FEMA review, and that's why we had it broken out. But looking at the schedule, and again, I didn't use the same coloring, I don't think. I don't know if I have FEMA. No, FEMA. Yeah, I do. It's a different color. It's that red color. So you can see how this plays out with the, I'm looking at phase 2, notice to proceed, for the demo and surcharge. That surcharge, where you have to let the dirt sit on site, takes about 6 months. Right? During that process, we're going to have FEMA EHP review going on. That's what's in red. This one, you can see we have a little more float. In this one, we actually have until October for FEMA to approve or the EHP approval to take place for this site. So we have a greater float, a little more time to get that done. And then the construction on the new building would start sometime in October of next year. So roughly a year from now, we'll start work on the new building and owner upgrade. And then be finished, well in enough time for 2027. So that's go to middle. Right? Any questions on that? Okay, roof repairs on building 1, historical building. I think we're moving in the right direction. There's a new roof contractor that Hub's got to do the work. We have another meeting with them the week after, or is it next week, John? I don't remember. I think we have an OAC meeting next week by phone. It's going to be a conference call. And they're scheduled to be finished sometimes by the end of February. So fingers crossed on that one that they make it happen. All right, go to middle, go to middle, lower elementary. We have a new contractor we never worked with, FCA. They were a little bidder. You're going to get that tonight for approval. And notice to proceed on this one should be sometimes in January to start work at the lower. And that's strictly hurricane repairs, mainly roofing. All right, Mr. Henry, that's some information on the press boxes.
Thank you.
Hopefully you take it as good news. I think it's mostly good news. So we had a conference call last week with FEMA, the head guy, Eddie Williams, who's over this region. He got CRC on the phone, the guys that look at this, that had an issue with understanding plans and why we have to do things a certain way. So they were on the phone call. Long story short, they agreed to the scope. We had the architect in, he explained why we're doing what we're doing. They agreed to scope, so that's good, that's number one. Now they have to go through the costing phase, right? We gave them the cost. They should come at that cost or above, right? They come below, we have an issue, but we have to wait for that to happen. So we're thinking 2 to 3 weeks for that process to play out. Okay?
The entire process?
On the costing, okay? And that's important because we can't move it to EHP review until it clears CRC. And we're not gonna sign it until,
That's because
Yes, you can see more on the line right now.
That's FEMA telling you they agree with
yeah, right? Sorry about that. So, CRC has to, approve it first. We have to agree with CRC. Once we agree with the costing, we sign it and then it moves to EHP.
Thank you.
The EHP process, although Eddie didn't call us back, we're trying to get an answer from him today, but best case in talking to our team, because again, it's a disturbed site, shouldn't be any unforeseen, we're thinking late January, early February. We could have EHP approval. Okay. Then the question becomes to the school board, do we start the work immediately, right? John Chicken had said yes.
Yes, Grand Isle Shipyard is ready to go that day.
So we'll have them, ready to get going if that's the case, so. That's where we're all with. Okay?
So I actually have a question about that. If we actually start the work right at the beginning of baseball season, how disturbing will it be for the games? Like, we're saying, oh yeah, they're ready to go, let it roll, but how much turmoil is that gonna cause for our game sites? I mean, that seems like that'd be a big
So
problem.
potentially a lot, but the good thing is that the contractor doing the work is a local contractor who actually has children in the school, believe it or not. He's gonna work directly with the athletic director and principal to minimize that, but I know that between Bob and John, they're gonna communicate with the project manager to make sure that doesn't happen. But I would tell you softly, I concur with John's assessment. Let's get it done and then work around the baseball stadium.
The most disturbing part will be right at the beginning, the pile driving, right? And we're hoping, depending on as soon as we get it, that we can complete that part before the season really kicks off. If we get that done, then it's just a construction site, It's it off real good and we secure it real good and we work around the team.
And the good thing about that, the parents, fans start seeing the work.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the community too will be accommodating to the construction site to have something going on there, so.
And I think it can be done. So we'll work it out. We'll figure it out. Okay? Lastly, South Lafourche High School Chair ROTC. This is still in FEMA's court and CRC review. So like all the other processes, this has to play out. They agreed with the scope, which is good, again, right? So there's no question about the damages and what we're claiming. It's now the costing, get that approved, then it moves to FEMA EHP. Same thing on the EHP side, previously disturbed site, going in the same place. It should be a quick process. So we're starting to see this, come closer and closer. Okay?
Do you have a possible date when y'all might start construction on that, or is it all in FEMA's court and we have to wait for?
I'd rather not give you dates on that, but I will tell you we are close, very close, because from the CRC standpoint, they have everything they need. They've been having it. So it's one of those projects that we are pushing, but I'd rather not give you dates at this meeting, but I'll have that for you at the next one. As far as design, I'll turn to Daniel.
We've got planning and everything done. We just don't want to go too far before says okay.
So he's ready. He'll be ready to pull the trigger. We'll know before to give him enough time to put documents together, put out for bid.
We really are getting close to the point where we could start to put a date to that. Not quite yet.
And I know we're not meeting, I don't guess we all may in December, but we'll get that to you before January. We should have some scheduling that we can share with superintendent. You can get it out to you guys if needed. Okay? All right, that's all I had unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Mann?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob.
Moving on to number 6, new business. A, to receive a report from lead accountant Shasta Chasson in reference to ongoing project budget.
Good evening. For the 2017 bond, the total referendum is 19.7 million. The total budgets for these projects are 19.7 million. Actual spent to date with encumbrances total 17.9 million. All funds are obligated. For the 2021 bond, the total referendum is 52 million. The total budgets for these projects are 52 million. Actual spent to date with encumbrances total 40.9 million. All funds are obligated.
Thank you very much. Item B, to consider a request from Accelerate Volleyball to waive the fees for the use of the gym at Galliano Elementary School.
The recommended action is to approve the request from Accelerated Volleyball for volleyball practice and to waive the fees for use of the gym at Galliano Elementary. The requester would be responsible for the $300 damage deposit and custodian fees. The insurance has not been approved, but is in the process, and before they proceed, it will be approved.
And if you would like to state your name and address for the record, we'd appreciate it.
My name is Addison Carroll. I'm the head director of Accelerate Volleyball. This season, I will be assisted by Miss Katie Roos. She's the assistant principal at Galliano Elementary. We're newly started. This is our first year. Our goal is to hopefully bring kids in the Galliano LaFouche area to want to play volleyball and come out and play a sport that I love so much. All of our players are enrolled in LaFouche Parish schools and around the Galliano area. We are looking to get the fees waived and hopefully start practice as soon as we can.
Motion by Mr. LaFont, a second by Ms. Bourgeois. Any public comment? Any board discussion?
I'm just glad to see y'all do that.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
We
it's
appreciate
always
you.
good when we can get our students involved in things.
Especially our DTV kids where we don't have to drive to.
Yeah.
For everything, yeah.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and vote. And that motion carries. Thank you very much. Item C, to consider authorizing the execution of the temporary road access agreement and the temporary servitude agreement on the Racine Prairie Section 16 area.
Yes, the recommended action, this is a section 16 action, is to accept authorization of the execution of the temporary road access agreement and the temporary servitude agreement for the Racine Prairie, section 16, township 16 south, range 18 east, as recommended by Lee Block, our landlord.
A motion by Mr. LaFont and a second by Ms. Bourgeois. Any public comment? Any board discussion?
The pipeline company wants to go in and clean their right-of-way we have on the property, and this is an agreement to get them on there. They're going to pay us some money, to build a road, and this is paperwork for that. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and vote. And that motion carries. Item D, to consider a request for Hurricane Ida repairs to hire Duplantis Design Group for miscellaneous repairs at multiple schools.
Yes, ma'am. The recommended action is to accept the request to hire Duplantis Design Group PC for Hurricane Ida repairs for miscellaneous projects at multiple schools with an OPC of $389,125.71. The funding source would be FEMA.
I have a motion by Ms. Bourgeois, a second by Mr. LaFont. Any public comment? Mr. Mr. Vickery?
Good evening, folks. My name's Stephen Viggory, partner with Duplantis Design Group. We're happy to have the opportunity to work for the school board, and we've been in business over 25 years in Thibodaux. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to.
I'm just assuming this is so they don't have to come for every little project.
This is like a catch-all of the little things that we miss during all those other
I think
big
there's
projects.
18 different schools.
You know, so it's miscellaneous for various sites. We do have a breakdown right now that y'all have access to that shows as of right now, but this isn't the complete list, right? This is you're gonna keep finding a doorknob here, you know, stuff like that. So this is kind of the catch-all to clean up the rest of items. Good phase to be in.
I was getting ready to say that. That sounds good, to finish the cleanup of items.
Looking forward to working with the planners.
Yes.
Any other public comment? Any other board discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and vote. The motion does carry, and I did abstain due to potential conflict. Item E, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs at South Lafourche High School.
Yes, ma'am, the recommended action is to accept the change order request in the sum of $18,835.14. To amend the architectural fees at South Lafourche High School.
I have a motion by Ms. Bourgeois. I have a second by, begrudgingly second by Ms. Fuller. Mr. Henry.
Why? We have Mr. Daniel here, Mr. Bruce. Come on, Dan.
Come on down.
Come on down.
Welcome.
So there's a list here that we have, and we've only requested a change in architectural design fees for items that we had to do a level of effort. In other words, produce drawings and sketches to present to the contractor to develop a price for the project. There's a various and sundry things that we didn't charge an additional fee for. That was, hey, we're gonna go and remove some furniture over here, so the contractor gave us a price of $3,000. We didn't charge for those kind of things, only for the things that we actually had to do architectural design work that added to the scope of work.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you very much, Dan.
And I also want to say thank you for the breakdown that we have. Like, this was much easier to look at and much easier to understand when we have everything. So that is appreciated.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
All right. Any public comment? Any board discussion? Okay. All right.
Can you make me sweat a little bit more?
Okay, come on. Let's not give him such a hard time.
I need to sweat a little bit. I need, right before the holidays, I need to lose a little more weight.
All right. If no further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. And that motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item F, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs at Central Lafourche High School and C.M. Washington Elementary School.
Yes, the recommended action is to accept a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs in the credit sum of $134,597.08 and to add 6 days to the contract at Central Lafourche High School, C.M. Washington Elementary School. Breakdown is we pulled out the replacement of the metal mansard roof on the gym and the auditorium. We're going to do that as a separate project. And then the 6-day request was because of Hurricane Francine.
I'm going to go ahead and motion that one.
I'll second it.
And that's seconded by Ms.
We're
Bourgeois.
coming back, boy.
Yes,
Okay, let's
we
go
can
with
have it
that.
for a little while.
Let's hold on to it for a little while. Any public comment? Any board discussion?
That type of credit, got to give them 2 weeks.
I was gonna say, they heard and tacked on that 6 days, so you would be agreeable in.
All right, any other board discussion? If not, we'll vote. And that motion obviously carries. Item G, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to 10 various sites project.
Yes, ma'am. The recommended action is to accept a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs in the credit sum of $56,108.07 to the contract at the 10 various sites project. Breakdown is $72 worth, $72,096.95 to remove certain scopes of work, and $15,988.88 to add additional aluminum canopy at Lockport Lower Elementary School.
I have a motion by Mr. LaFont, a second by Ms. Bourgeois. Any public comment? Any board discussion? Let's go ahead and vote. And that motion carries. Item H, to consider bids for Hurricane Ida repairs at Golden Meadow Lower Elementary School and South Lafourche High School.
Recommended action is to accept the low bid for Hurricane Ida repairs at Golden Meadow Lower Elementary School and South Lafourche High School for the roof repair, renovations, and demolition project.
I have a motion by Ms. Bourgeois, a second by Mr. LaFont. Any public comment? Any board discussion?
Let me add, I guess we should have had it in the wording, but we'll add it now. The low bid was FCA Construction LLC, and their base bid was $728,710 even.
Any board discussion? We'll go ahead and vote. That motion passes. Item I, to consider bids for the Hurricane Ida repairs for the Golden Meadow Middle School buildings 4, 5, and 10 project.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, we recommend that the item be tabled.
So due to the need of legal review, we're going to go ahead and take motion to table the item. Have a motion by Ms. Bourgeois, a second by Mr. LaFont. So I think we need to have a hand vote on tabling the actual item. So, okay, all those in favor of tabling? That's 3 yeas and 0 nays. We'll go ahead and table it. All right. Being that this is the last meeting of the year, and our committees are going to be changing, I just want to take a second to thank Mr. John Jeremy, the facilities manager, and also Ms. Ashley Anderson, our administrative assistant. It's been a great year to work with you guys. I really appreciate it. You've made this super easy. Thank you all very much.
Let me just add that since Hurricane Ida, this board has been faced with a monumental task, and these committees, every member has gone over and above to help me out and get these schools rebuilt, and Bob included, and I thank y'all also as an employee.
I appreciate the patience from all the architects and engineers on my questions, but I need to ask them. And I want to thank my colleagues for allowing us to move this committee meeting up so Kim and I can make that function. Thank you all so much.
You're very welcome. With no further business, the meeting is adjourned.